When you think of menopause, chances are the first things that pop into your head are hot flushes, mood swings, or those weight changes that seem to creep up uninvited. But there's something else, something we don't hear much about, even though it quietly affects millions of women during this time: hair loss. Yes, that sinking feeling when you spot more hair on your pillow in the morning, or when the shower drain clogs up again. And then comes that inevitable question: is this normal, or should I be worried? Today, we're diving into a topic that's often brushed aside, not just at the doctors, but even among friends and in women's health discussions. Because hair loss during menopause isn't just about appearances. It's a reflection of what's happening inside your body, and understanding it can make a world of difference to how you feel about yourself. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Losing a bit of hair during menopause is completely normal. Your body's riding out a hormonal storm, especially with estrogen and progesterone levels plummeting. These hormones don't just run your menstrual cycle, they're also guardians of your hair's health. When they drop, hair can become finer, more brittle, and yes, you may find it falls out more easily. So far, it's part of the natural process. But where do we draw the line between what's normal and what's cause for concern? This is where things get really interesting. Because not all hair loss should just be chalked up to aging. Sometimes your body's waving red flags that have little to do with hormones. Did you know, for instance, that low iron levels are one of the most common hidden causes of hair loss in menopausal women? And we're not necessarily talking about full-blown anemia either. Even subtle deficiencies, the kind that don't always show up on standard blood tests, can quietly weaken your hair follicles. Or that a thyroid imbalance, which is all too common at this stage, could be the real reason your hair isn't what it used to be. Suddenly, what seemed like a simple side effect of menopause might have deeper roots that deserve proper medical attention. And if you're thinking stress has nothing to do with it, think again. Cortisol, the so-called stress hormone, can wreak havoc on your hair's growth cycle. Chronic stress can shove a big chunk of your hair into a resting phase called telogen, leading to heavy shedding months after a stressful period. It's like a late bill you forgot was coming. So if you've been riding emotional roller coasters, dealing with loss, or simply carrying the daily pressures of adapting to this new chapter, don't underestimate the toll it can take on your hair. Now let's talk about something even less discussed: genetic sensitivity to androgens. We usually think of male pattern baldness here, but women can inherit this tendency too. And guess when it often shows up strongest? You guessed it, during menopause. With estrogen backing off, androgens like testosterone, even in tiny amounts, get more freedom to act on your hair follicles. The result? Gradual thinning, especially around the crown, which can be easy to miss at first, but can advance quickly if you don't catch it in time. You might be wondering, how can I tell if my hair loss is normal or if it's time to act? Well, it's not always black and white, but there are signs. If you're seeing your part widening, your overall volume dropping dramatically, or your scalp becoming more visible, it's definitely worth getting it checked. Don't just brush it off as part of aging or just menopause. Sometimes, early intervention can make all the difference. Another thing hardly anyone talks about is the impact of medication. During menopause, it's common to start taking tablets for blood pressure, cholesterol, or thyroid issues. But did you know some of these meds list hair loss as a side effect? Often, no one bothers to mention it. Imagine battling hair thinning, trying every shampoo and supplement under the sun, when the real problem's sitting right there in your bathroom cupboard. How many women would have a very different story if someone had just explained this? And it doesn't stop there. Protein deficiency, quite common among women who follow strict diets trying to manage their weight in menopause, can seriously damage hair health too. Hair's mostly made of keratin, which is a protein. If your diet's lacking in key amino acids, your body prioritizes vital functions first, and your hair gets left behind. And it's not just about eating more protein either, it's about quality and balance. Here's another little reality check. Your gut health plays a bigger role than you might think. When the balance of good bacteria in your gut's off, it affects your ability to absorb vital nutrients like biotin, zinc, and iron, all essential for strong, healthy hair. So yes, looking after your gut means looking after your hair too, but hardly anyone spells that out clearly. Now I want you to take a moment and really think, how do you feel about your hair right now? Is it just a small change you're happy to roll with? Or is it chipping away at your confidence, the way you see yourself, the way you face the world? Because the emotional impact of hair loss during menopause is real, even though society tends to brush it off with lines like, it's only hair. But you and I know it's not just hair. Feeling good about how you look is a huge part of overall well-being. That's why it's not just about hunting down cosmetic fixes. It's about acknowledging that your hair deserves the same care, attention, and respect as every other part of your health in this chapter of life. And this is where something few women even think of comes into play: a personalized scalp and hair assessment, seeing a trichologist. A dermatologist who specializes in hair could be the game changer that helps you keep more of your hair instead of resigning yourself to further loss. You don't have to wait until it's a full-blown crisis to ask for help. You don't have to feel embarrassed. And you definitely don't have to accept this is just how it is if deep down you know something's not quite right. Menopause doesn't mean giving up on feeling good about yourself or watching something that matters to you slip away without a fight. So far, we've uncovered some lesser-known causes and signs to look out for. But there's still loads more to explore about how to care for your hair smartly during menopause, how to sidestep common mistakes that can make things worse, and what real options are out there if you want to strengthen it, revive it, and rebuild that positive bond with your reflection. Because yes, there are ways forward, and no, they don't all involve miracle cures or ridiculously expensive products. Before we continue, something important: in the description of this video, I've left a resource that could really help you through this stage. It's something several women are starting to use and are seeing real changes. If you're curious, have a look later. It might be just what you need. Now that we know how to tell when hair loss is a normal symptom and when it's a red flag, it's time to focus on practical solutions. But I'm not going to repeat the usual superficial advice you've probably heard 1,000 times. We're going to dig deeper, because the truth is that hair care during menopause requires a different strategy, one that's much more comprehensive and closely connected to your overall health. Let's start with something that sounds basic but is absolutely crucial: treating your scalp like fertile soil. Yes, like a garden. We often obsess over the hair we can see, but forget about the foundation it grows from. An inflamed, dry, or product-clogged scalp can suffocate follicles and accelerate shedding. Gentle massages with natural oils like rosemary or peppermint don't just stimulate circulation, they can also create a healthier environment for hair growth. It's not magic, it's basic biology, and honestly, many women notice real improvements simply by shifting how they care for their scalp. Another point hardly anyone talks about is the impact of heat tools. Overusing straighteners, hairdryers, and curling irons at a time when hair is already finer and more fragile can be devastating. It's not about giving up looking good, but about being more strategic. Using truly effective heat protectants, reducing the frequency of heat styling, and opting for more natural styles can help preserve what you have while supporting the growth of new hair. And speaking of strengthening, it's time to bust one of the biggest myths out there: miracle supplements. You've seen the ads promising a full, luscious mane in 30 days, right? Well, most of those products aren't properly regulated, and many lack solid studies to back up their claims. Before spending money on magical formulas, it's far better to get blood tests to identify your specific deficiencies. Your issue might be low vitamin D, or a zinc shortage, or maybe a hormonal imbalance. Every woman's body is different, and what works for one may not work for another. Smart supplementation, based on real data from your own body, is a much more effective move. There's also a factor often overlooked that could be a major ally: sleep. Poor sleep affects cortisol levels, disrupts your hormones, and, well, slows down cellular regeneration, including that of your hair. Melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep, also plays a role in hair growth. So if you're struggling with sleep during menopause, which honestly is incredibly common, you're not just feeling tired, your hair is suffering too. Working to improve your sleep quality isn't a luxury, it's an investment in your long-term hair health. Now, let's address the big taboo medical treatment for hair loss. Many women feel that turning to minoxidil, finasteride, or similar treatments is somehow admitting defeat, but that couldn't be further from the truth. When properly used and supervised by a specialist, these treatments can be powerful tools to stabilize and even reverse hair thinning. Today, there are versions specifically tailored for women with appropriate dosages and combinations to minimize side effects. The issue isn't the treatment itself, it's the lack of clear, unbiased information to help women make informed decisions. At the same time, newer approaches are gaining ground. Have you heard of PRP therapy, for instance? Platelet-rich plasma, drawn from your own blood, contains growth factors that can stimulate follicle regeneration. It's not a magical cure, and it's not suitable for every case. But in menopausal women who still have active follicles, it can make a noticeable difference. These kinds of options aren't often discussed in mainstream conversations, but they're out there. And knowing about them gives you more power to choose. Of course, not everything is about external interventions. The way you manage your daily life also has a bigger impact than you might imagine. Did you know activities like yoga, meditation, or simply walking in nature can deeply reduce stress levels? Lower cortisol levels create a much friendlier environment for your hair to stay strong. You don't need to become a spiritual guru. Just finding small daily spaces to reconnect with yourself can bring real, lasting changes. While doing all this, there's something vital you mustn't overlook: nurturing the emotional relationship you have with your image. It's not easy to see your hair change or to realize that your reflection doesn't look exactly like it did a few years ago. But it's not the end of the road either. Self-awareness, self-acceptance, and strengthening your self-esteem are just as important as any shampoo or treatment. Because beautiful hair isn't only about healthy follicles, it's also about how you see yourself, speak to yourself, and treat yourself every single day. You might be thinking, this all sounds good, but it's a lot to handle on my own. And that's completely normal. That's why building a support network, whether it's your doctor, your friends, or specialist online communities, can make an enormous difference. You don't have to walk this road alone. Sharing your doubts, your progress, and even your moments of frustration with other women who truly understand can be incredibly healing. At the end of the day, hair loss during menopause doesn't have to define you or signal a new era of insecurity. Instead, it can be a powerful invitation to reconnect with yourself, to listen to your body in new ways, and to care for yourself with deeper, more conscious love. There's so much you can do, so many choices you can make in your favor, and it all begins with honest, no-frills information like what you've received today. So next time you notice a few more strands on your brush, or your hair isn't as full as it used to be, don't panic, and don't resign yourself either. Pause, reflect on what you've learned here. Ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? What small changes can I make to better support it? And who can I reach out to for real help instead of empty reassurances? Menopause is a chapter of transformation, yes, but it can also be a chapter of empowerment. You are not losing something. You are gaining the opportunity to rebuild your well-being from a place of wisdom and strength. And believe me, that inner shift will shine through your hair too. Now, tell me, what's the first small step you're going to take today to care not just for your hair, but for everything you are?